just like to thank Shri for dedicating this kirtan to my late mother, who passed away on Saturday night. A devotee is always compassionate. We were just singing the prayers by Lord Nrsimhadev, about Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad was a child, only 5 years old, but he was harassed and tortured by his father. And despite that, I mean, he was almost killed. Had it not been for Lord Nrsimhadev appearing to protect him, he would have been killed by Hiranyakashipu. But despite that, despite being tortured and almost killed, he wished, he prayed to Lord Nrsimhadev to please deliver his father. So Lord Nrsimhadev immediately granted his request and gave his father salvation. So that is an example of the compassion of a devotee. It's a compassion on the highest level, and because it comes from Krishna. Krishna wants all of us to come back to him, to home. This material world is not our home. We try to make it our home, but it's not. All our family relationships are just like straws on the side of a river that sometimes gets swept away by the river, and they come together and they go apart, and they are separated by the waves. But this is just temporary. The only reason we have bodily relationships is because we're packed inside these bodies. So we have to understand that the greater family is Krishna's family. We're all part of Krishna's family because he's the eternal Father, and we're meant to serve him. He is our original Father. Krishna says, Aham bija pratapita. I'm the seed-giving Father of all living entities. So if we serve him, then we'll actually be happy, because we cannot be happy in this material world by serving our senses. The only way we can be happy is by serving Krishna's senses. He's the original enjoyer. And so if we serve him by participating in his enjoyment, that's why he created us, so we can participate in his enjoyment. If we serve his senses, then we can also participate in his joy. He's eternally blissful and happy, so we want to share. If we serve him, we will also become happy. That's just the nature of our relationship. But I just wanted to read a little bit about the relationship between. There was a story of a great king who always wanted a son. His name was Chitraketu. And he couldn't have a son. He was sterile or something, or his wife was barren or something. But anyway, he couldn't have a son. So he was lamenting, and some great sages, I think, Narada Muni, and who was the other one? Parvat Muni came by and said, okay, you can have a son. We're going to give you a son, but he will be the cause of great joy and great lamentation.
Harsha Shoka.
Right. So
Harsha means enjoyment and Shoka means lamentation.
So the sages gave him or his wife a mixture, and somehow or other he got a child, and by the grace of these great sages. And so he was so happy to have a son, because especially in Vedic times, the son is essential because he can deliver the father from all kinds of hellish conditions. And there's a ceremony called Pinda, in which you offer prasad to Lord Vishnu, and when Vishnu accepts that on behalf of the parent becomes delivered from any kind of hellish condition they may be in. So it's very important to have a son in those days. So that's what I feel like. This is kind of a pinda for my mother. So all this stuff chanting together. But anyway, sooner or later, the child also died, Śikṣāṣṭaka's son. And the king was devastated. There's great happiness and great lamentation. And so the sages came around again. Before the king couldn't hear because he was so attached to having a son. They couldn't hear. He couldn't take instruction from these sages. So the sages came around again. And so now in this situation, he was able to hear from these sages. And so in order to convince him, he brought the boy back to life. And here's the verse where it talks about how the boy was brought to life. I mean, just, it's normal. And, mystic like Narada Muni can do that. Jesus Christ did it with, what's his name? Lazarus.
It's called Mrityu Sanjivani.
So the soul comes back into the body.
Soul comes back into the body. Yeah.
So this is the translation. It's Canto 6, Chapter 16, Text 4. By the mystic power of Narada Muni, the living entity re-entered his dead body for a short time and spoke in reply to Narada Muni's request. He said, "According to the result of my fruitive activities, I, the living being, transmigrate from one body to another, sometimes going to the species of the demigods, sometimes to the species of lower animals, sometimes among the vegetables, and sometimes to the human species. Therefore, in which birth are these my father and mother? No one is actually my father and mother. How can I accept these two people as my parents?" And so Prabhupada says, here it is made clear that the living being enters a material body that is like a machine created by the 5 gross elements of material nature: earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and the 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, there are 2 separate identities called the inferior and superior energies, and both belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the results of a living entity's fruitive actions, he is forced to enter the material elements in different types of bodies. This time, the living entity was supposed to have been the son of Maharaj Śikṣāṣṭaka and Queen Kirtan, because, according to the laws of nature, he had entered a body made by the king and queen. Actually, however, he was not their son. The living entity is the son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because he wants to enjoy this material world, the Supreme Lord gives him a chance to enter various bodies. The living entity has no true relationship with the material body he gets from his material father and mother. He is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but he is allowed to go through different bodies. The body created by the so-called father and mother actually has nothing to do with the so-called creators. Therefore, the living entity flatly denied that Maharaj Śikṣāṣṭaka and his wife were his father and mother. So, I'm sure the king was kind of blown away by that statement of his boy that had come back to life. I mean, that's the way that these sages enlightened Śikṣāṣṭaka. He came to his senses and actually realized the nature of the soul and the temporary relationships that we have in this world. This world is like a playground for us because we are all originally sons of Krishna. And because we desire to become Krishna, we are given this playground in order to act out our desires. So he creates this whole material world, just like when a mother is cooking and the child sees the mother cooking, the child wants to imitate the mother. And so the mother arranges some playthings, a little toy stove and stuff, so the child could play and imitate her mother. So similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead creates this whole cosmic manifestation for our desires to become separate and to enjoy and be the supreme controller of material nature. Because we want to be the enjoyer, we want to be the proprietor, we want to be the best friend of all living entities, We enter into this material world to act out our fantasy. But we're not the material, we're not the supreme enjoyer, we're not the supreme proprietor, and we're not the best friend of every living entity. We are, Krishna is the supreme proprietor. It says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram saridam sarvabhutanam yatmam shantim richiti, which means that Krishna is the original. What is the exact translation of that verse?
Sages knowing me as the ultimate goal of all sacrifices and austerities and the supreme lord of all demigods and human beings, attaining peace from the pangs of material existence.
Yeah, this is the peace formula that Prabhupada actually in 1965, during the middle of the Vietnam War, he passed out a pamphlet at the United Nations building, and he distributed this, and he said that this material world is not our property. And if people realized that it was Krishna's property, then there'd be peace, because nobody would be fighting over trying to lord it over. And so this whole material world is working under the sense of the proprietorship. And it's a false claim, because actually Krishna owns everything. If anybody thinks that they own anything, they're a thief. So we have to recognize that, and if we do, and also we're not the best friend of every living entity. People, politicians and philanthropists try to be the best friend of everyone, but they're just trying to, they're actually mostly want everybody to pat them on the back. But Krishna is the original best friend of every living entity. He's the Lord of all planets and demigods, and the best well-wishing friend of everyone. So we can't be the friend. Krishna is the best friend. If we introduce Krishna to everyone, then we become the best friend also. So we have to follow in the footsteps of his representatives. He comes here just to awaken us out of our fantasy land, out of our little playground. This playground is a prison house, and it's full of suffering and misery, birth, death, old age, and disease. Scientists have tried to, say that, okay, we're going to make a man eternal. We're going to clone his body and then put a little chip in his head and make him live forever. But that's not possible. Nobody can do that, because the material world is temporary and the material body is temporary. So nobody can live forever. But if we surrender to Krishna, then we can live an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge. And then we'll be back to our original family, which is the family of devotees in the spiritual world. And there is no inebriety there. There is no inebriety and perversion of Maya that kind of coats everything in this material world, all our relationships, because everyone is in it for their own pleasure, sense gratification, to lord it over others and lord it over the nature of the material resources. So if we recognize the proprietor and friend of everyone, then we can be happy. But that's why these books are just the most fabulous wake-up call. It's just like having a 24/7 instructor. You can open a book at any time and just learn from Krishna himself. And it's so valuable. I mean, I read the books every day. I read like a chapter a day, and I upload it to the internet, and it's all on my Facebook page. I've read it. I'm in the middle of the Bhagavatam right now, but if anybody wants to take advantage of that, you can just look on my timeline or read a chapter a day when I'm around. But it's just the greatest gift Prabhupada gave us, and that we have an opportunity to serve his mission by introducing his mission to others. If we just follow the words of Prabhupada as they are, not change them in any way, just what he's saying. Prabhupada said, this is the 50th anniversary of his coming to America, and we had a big celebration in Butler. It was the first place he landed 50 years ago, in Butler, Pennsylvania, and he said, at one point, his disciples asked him, how can we honor you? How can we show our gratitude to you, Srila Prabhupada? And he said, by accepting what I have given you, and then giving it to others. So it's as simple as that. If we just follow the words of the spiritual master, I'm just reading today, if you do that, you will see Krishna face to face. That is the method of seeing God. You just accept the words of the Guru, because he came here to America on the order of his spiritual master. And because he had such determination, he came out here with the age of, in the 70s, and he almost died on the way here. And because with nothing, he came with nothing in his pocket. And he had such determination.
He had $8.
No, I've heard that he had nothing.
No, he had 40 rupees.
Yeah, but there's another story that actually his son, he had given that to his son before he left.
No, in the Prabhupada Lamrita, it says that he came with 40 rupees, which was $8 at the time, exchange rate, but he never spent that.
Oh, yeah, there's conflicting stories, but whatever, that's practically nothing. That is nothing. I mean, you know, if you want to live in New York City, it costs more than $8. But he went to New York City, he opened a storefront, and then he spread this movement all over the world.
Yeah.
Just by his determination to follow the order of his spiritual master. So that's what we have to do. We have to take up that mission, because when the spiritual master is gone, his disciples are entrusted to carry on his mission.
Well, the thing of it is that the sound vibration makes you one-pointed. The Bhagavad Gita sound vibration, the vibration of the Bhagavatam, it transfers your consciousness to the spiritual world. That's what it does. And the chanting, of course, it's a two-track system. You have the chanting, and then you have the knowledge of the Gita and the Bhagavatam, and they keep you on track. If you don't have the Gita and the Bhagavatam, you're going to be misdirected in some way along this spiritual path. So you need to have both. It's very important. And I encourage all of you to, if you have time, to read the Gita and to study it. And if you don't have somebody to read it with, you know, I'm always here for you. If you decide that you want to go through this, I don't care who your guru is. I don't care, you know, what spiritual path you're on. The Gita is for everyone. It will make your understanding of Judaism better, Christianity better, Buddhism better. It will just make everything better. So it's non-denominational, it's non-sectarian, it's an eternal path back to our original home, as Shik was saying, which is the spiritual world. So it becomes more apparent as you enter into the vibration of the Gita and the Bhagavatam. It takes you above this world. So his mother right now is in another body. She's entered another body in another family, and we don't know. So my mother left this world in 1967 when I was like 19 years old. She died of breast cancer. She's in another family right now. She doesn't know anything about me, or she's just concerned with her present family. So everyone is going to be swept away by time. And if you don't want to enter another bird cage, then you have to study the philosophy of the Gita and the Bhagavatam. At the time of death, the bird cage will open. Krishna will say, come back to the spiritual world, and you'll fly away, and you will never take another material body again. Yay! So that's what this place is for. We don't want to take another material body. We don't want to enter another womb of another mother and go through the whole thing again. Anybody familiar with the Sisyphus? Yeah. You are? Justin? Yeah. He tried to roll the rock up to the top of the hill, and every time he tried to get to the top, it would roll back down again. So lifetime after lifetime, we roll this rock up to the top of the hill, and just at the top, it comes back down again. So we can make this the spiritual world through kirtan and chanting, and we can make this material. We don't have to be sad here, but we have to enliven this. We have to feed the bird in the bird cage with sound vibration. And the Sage of Kali is done through kirtan and the sound vibration of the Gita and the Bhagavatam.
And prashad.
And prashad, yes. That's an important part. So we can like eat our way back to the spiritual world. And we should probably do that right now too.